What would happen if humans could blow fire? Imagine if one morning you woke up, took a deep breath, and instead of exhaling air, flames shot out of your mouth. Just like a dragon from mythology, humans suddenly had the ability to breathe fire. It sounds thrilling, powerful, and even magical. But what would this really mean for us, for society, and for the planet? Let's explore how life would change if humans could blow fire. First, we have to consider how such an ability could even exist. Fire requires three things: heat, fuel, and oxygen. Our bodies already breathe out oxygen. But to create fire, we would need a natural fuel source stored inside us, along with a biological ignition system. Perhaps humans would evolve special glands that produce flammable chemicals, similar to how the bombardier beetle sprays hot liquid as a defense. Our mouths could then ignite the fuel with sparks from specialized tissues, just like a natural lighter. While this might sound like fantasy, in nature, similar mechanisms already exist in animals. Now imagine how everyday life would be transformed. Cooking would no longer require stoves or lighters. People could simply breathe fire over raw food and roast it instantly. Campfires, barbecues, and survival in the wild would be much easier. But there would also be risks. Accidentally sneezing or coughing could result in small explosions. Fire safety at home, schools, and workplaces would become a much bigger challenge. Children would need to be trained from an early age to control their flames, just like we learn to speak or walk. In society, fire breathing could quickly become a powerful tool. Imagine construction workers who could melt metals or weld using their own breath. Firefighters might ironically also have the ability to produce flames, though their skills would need strict control. In entertainment, circus performers, martial artists, and even athletes could use fire to impress audiences. Sports could evolve into fire-based competitions, where breathing flames at targets or against opponents becomes a spectacle. But this power would also come with darker consequences. Wars and conflicts would become far more destructive. Armies of fire-breathing humans could easily burn cities, forests, and entire regions. Weapons like guns might become less relevant compared to the natural ability to unleash fire anytime, anywhere. Governments would need strict regulations, perhaps requiring people to undergo training or licensing to use their fire safely. Laws and punishments might become harsher for those who misuse their fiery breath. The environment would also be deeply affected. If humans carelessly blew fire, wildfires could spread more often, destroying ecosystems. Forests and grasslands might be at constant risk, leading to mass extinction of species. On the other hand, controlled use of fire could help humanity survive in colder regions, reducing the need for fossil fuels. People might use their flames to generate heat and energy, making some technologies unnecessary. The balance between helpful and harmful consequences would depend entirely on human discipline. Now think about culture and tradition. Myths about dragons, gods of fire, and legendary warriors exist in almost every civilization. If humans could actually breathe fire, many of these myths would be seen not as fantasy, but as history or prophecy. Religions might evolve around the symbolism of fire, with fire breathers viewed as holy figures or leaders. Festivals would be filled with real flames, dances, and rituals where people show off their fiery power. Human identity itself would change, and we might see ourselves as closer to mythical creatures than ordinary animals. Health, however, would pose another problem. Producing fire inside the human body would be dangerous. The throat, mouth, and lungs would need special protection from burns. Evolution might give us heat-resistant skin, tougher respiratory systems, or internal mechanisms that prevent accidental self-harm. Still, accidents would be common. People could damage their teeth, lungs, or digestive systems if their fire-producing organs malfunctioned. Hospitals would be filled with burn-related injuries, not from accidents with matches, but from people burning themselves. Technology could adapt to enhance this ability. Imagine devices that help control or amplify human fire breath, making it hotter, longer, or more focused. Military industries might build flame-enhancing helmets or masks, turning soldiers into living flamethrowers. Civilians could buy gadgets to filter or shape their fire, maybe even using it to light fireworks or as portable torches. Fashion could also evolve, with fire-resistant clothing becoming as common as everyday shirts and pants. Relationships and daily interactions would also change. Arguments could become far more dangerous if anger literally turned into fire. Laws would probably ban people from blowing flames in public areas, just as weapons are restricted today. Fire insurance would be mandatory for homes, and fireproof materials would dominate architecture. Our cities might look very different, with buildings designed to withstand bursts of flame. Social etiquette would evolve too. For example, blowing fire at someone might be considered the ultimate insult or threat. From an evolutionary perspective, humans with the ability to breathe fire might have a survival advantage. They could defend themselves from predators, cook food without tools, and keep warm during cold nights. However, survival is not just about power, but also about control. Too much reckless fire use could lead to self-destruction. Humanity would have to balance its new abilities with responsibility, or risk burning down its own civilization. Looking to the far future, if humans mastered fire breathing, it could even help us colonize space. On planets with extreme cold, such as Mars, fire could provide warmth and survival. Fire-breathing astronauts could use their power to melt ice, produce water, or sterilize equipment. However, in space stations with limited oxygen, breathing fire would be dangerous and forbidden. Space exploration would need new protocols to manage human fire safely. Ultimately, if humans could blow fire, the world would become both more magical and more dangerous. We would gain a unique ability that could revolutionize cooking, technology, and survival. But at the same time, the risks of destruction, war, and accidents would grow dramatically. Humanity's story would no longer be about controlling fire with tools, as it has been since ancient times, but about controlling fire within ourselves. Whether this power would make us stronger or destroy us would depend entirely on our wisdom and discipline.